Hey, coin folk, welcome back. Got a couple packages we're gonna get into today. Both some auction wins from a somewhat local, kind of like farmhouse style auction company, if you know what I'm talking about. But this one here should just be one item. It's a nicer, obsolete piece of currency, and then here we got all kinds of goodies. Fingers crossed. I was bidding on what I'm hoping is a very rare VAM on an 1878 eight-tail feather Mrogan. So we shall see. But let me get into the packages at least, and I will bring you right back. So here we are. We got everything out of the packages here. We definitely have hit some of the pitfalls of this style of auction where you don't really get to see stuff in hand. We'll take a look at some of that later. Got some coins that are definitely clean that we weren't expecting to be clean, but that happens, I suppose. This first one here was that loan note that we were talking about. It's a 1922 series $10 gold certificate. Pretty darn cool. Didn't have one of these and wanted to get one. This one's in pretty decent shape. Has some nice color to it still. I didn't see any pinholes or major tears. The biggest problem I'm seeing with it is it looks like it's been trimmed for sure. You can see especially down here in this lower left corner how it's kind of not necessarily even. Probably maybe trimmed along the top as well, it looks like, unless it was just, I don't know, printed kind of off. But still in pretty good shape altogether. So nice to pick that up. What I felt was a pretty decent price. All this stuff over here I didn't even expect to win. This was all ending towards the end of the auction, and I threw a bid in that was well under melt on all these Ikes, and we ended up winning them anyways. We got a 71, a 71, a 72, and the toughest, the 73. Of all just the regular uncirculated business strike, I guess you would call it. We'll have to take them all out and we'll look for any varieties and stuff. This one here is, I believe, a 71, the proof. It is. So, pretty cool there. A lot of times these come kind of hazy and foggy, but this one looks like it's in fairly decent shape. So again, we'll have to take a look for some varieties on that. These three here are a year set of 1943 Walkers, Philly, Denver, and San Fran. They looked a little better in pictures, but most of them, I mean, they're all in good shape, and I paid for all three of these. I think it was like $3.04 over melt. So I'm not going to complain that they weren't quite as nice as I thought they were. This one here is still pretty nice. I think this is really the only one that would grade well as far as being unk anyways. The others look like potentially either a dip at some point or just a little circulation. So, but either way, it's still much nicer than you usually buy for just a hair over melt. Of course, you know I love peace dollars. Well, if you've watched my stuff, you know I love peace dollars. And these were the ones I was most looking forward to, and unfortunately they are both cleaned. Unfortunately. A little tougher years, but they're still in good shape. It's just got some cleaning on them. I don't even know how well it's going to show up on here, but I can definitely see hairlines on both of them. But got a 35S, which is a tougher year. A good bit of meat left to it. Like an AU Details coin. And this one here, it's got a nice look to it. How in the world? There we go. How in the world do I get this thing out of here? This is a 25S. Got a little color on it, which is not necessarily the typical case for a piece dollar. But again, it's been cleaned, unfortunately. So a lot of the San Francisco piece dollars have like kind of a weaker strike on them. So it's kind of tough sometimes if you're just trying to look at the detail left in the feathers, kind of judging grade wise. But again, on this one, I would say we're probably like an AU details, which was not as good as I was hoping. But this is the one that I'm excited to get under the scope. We got a 1878 Philly 8-tail feather Mrogan. Thankfully, this one does not appear to be cleaned or messed with. Looks like a nice original coin. And what we're hoping for, we'll have to get under the scope. It's tough to try to gauge from online pictures, but I think it's going to be VAM 9, which is one of the better VAMs for the 1878. It's actually the first die pair ever for the Mrogan dollars. So that's what we're hoping for. And there was at least one other person that either just really wanted an 8-tail feather 78 or thought it was a better VAM, because if it's not, we definitely overpaid for this fella a little bit, but we got to get under the scope to find out for sure. So let's get set up, and that's what we're going to do. So I'll be right back. All right, so here we go. Got our 1878 set under the scope here. Just to give you an idea of what we're looking for, we pulled up on VAM World here. Kind of what we're looking at, trying to look for. The biggest kind of pickup point is this, the little tail feathers that are right on the bottom of both sides of the eagle's wing there. They vary a lot, especially on the earlier coinage. And probably the biggest pickup is this little bottom feather. I guess a lot of people call it like a kidney bean looking shape. So, and then we're also going to be looking at the obverse. Got these diphile lines. This is like awful trying to get it on picture, but you can see these two lines kind of right in the cotton bolls there. And what other pickup points we got? Got a little line here, kind of in the crease of the cap. And what else we got? That's more looking at the, kind of the detail of that, the feathers. And got a little, looks like a little chip in the ear there. Like a little spike coming out of the eye. More of the tail feather there, and not really sure what they're looking at on the bow. So we're going to jump over to the coin that we're trying to look at here. See if I can get this camera to stand back up in a way that's somewhat okay for us to look at. There we go. Stand still. So on the reverse, looking at our tail feather detail, and that is pretty much exactly what we were looking for. Kind of see the same design on, kind of got, trying to get the camera to focus. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Come on, camera. Jeez, hold on. All right, there we go. The kind of 3-layered, those smaller feathers is kind of what we're looking at, not the larger ones. And then got that little kidney bean shape lower feather there that kind of sticks out on the bottom. That is pretty much exactly what we were hoping for. Let's take a look for some of these markers on the obverse. It's kind of dirty in there in the eye, but I'm not really seeing the spike. Kind of hard to tell. A little grungy there in the ear, but it does look like we got a little chip up there in the top part. And we definitely got a little line here in that little crease. The cap. And up here. We definitely got our polish lines that we're looking for. Underneath the little cotton balls there, you got this one here that's running up. And then this one right in there. Hopefully you can tell what I'm pointing at. But basically they're just two little lines. Little polish lines. So that is pretty darn cool. And so it looks like, oh, we got ourselves an 1878 VAM 9. Unfortunately, once I got out of the wrapper, it does look like it's been cleaned and retoned. I would call it like a XF details, but it's still a very rare VAM to find, so even having it in details grade will be pretty nice. I mean, I've definitely seen uglier coins in a straight grade holder, so you never know, I guess, but either way, happy to have it. Super cool kind of piece of history, just, you know, thinking about the series in general. It's not my favorite series, but it is definitely the most collected kind of series in US coinage. And just to have an example of the very first die pair to have ever been struck in them is kind of cool. So we will take that for sure. We had some wins and losses in the auction overall, but this one is definitely a win in my book. So that's going to be it, folks. Not sure what will be coming up next, but hopefully I see you over there. Peace.